It's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are in Sacramento today, joined by Brian Dahle, member of the California State Assembly, representing beautiful North State, California. And I want to talk about one town in your beautiful district. It's called Loyalton. Tell us about Loyalton.
So Loyalton's a very small community. It's an incorporated city. There used to be a lumber mill there. It's no longer there. And they had very few employees, but they're in a bad way right now with their retirees.
Yeah, and let's really dig deep, because when the timber industry was strong, a city like Loyalton, throughout your district, Lassen, Shasta, whatever it is, booming. But then you have the timber industry falling, you have the economy turning downward, and Loyalton was really kind of the canary in the coal mine when you think about how cities can really plummet when hard times hit. What happened to Loyalton?
Well, private industry jobs left, but there's still a city there. There's still a water system. There's still garbage that needs to be hauled. There's still snow that needs to be removed. And so Loyalton had a small group of employees. Some of them been there for 40 years.
Right.
And they retired. And just recently, their CalPERS pension wasn't fully funded. And so what happened? A historic thing happened about 2 weeks ago, and that was that the CalPERS board said, you know what? If you don't pay the $1.6 million into the CalPERS fund, we're going to cut your pensions. And the city wasn't able to generate that much revenue, and so they cut the Patsy Jordan was a retired woman who's 71 years old, who was getting $41,000 a year, and now it's cut to 19.
Sir, there are 5 people that are impacted by CalPERS' decision to significantly cut the pensions of these former government workers. But these 5 people are our neighbors. They're really your neighbors. I'm actually feeling myself getting emotional talking about it. These are Californians that really gave their professional lives to this town. And we can point a lot of fingers. Maybe CalPERS didn't do something right, maybe Loyalton didn't do something right. I don't know what happened. But what I know is that Patsy Jordan is taking a cut that could devastate her and her family. What about Jordan and Jim Cousins? I mean, a maintenance foreman. They are in a whole heap of hurt. These are our neighbors. It's just hard to even talk about.
So Brad, here's the crux of the issue. It's not just Loyalton.
Yeah.
It's the state of California. So we have somewhere around over 1 million public employees that belong to PERS. And the return was supposed to be 7.5%, and it's not 7.5%. And it's has been as low as 0 in some years and as high as 16 in some years. But it hasn't averaged at 7.5. So that is the crux of the problem. So what happens when you have a change in that? The employer, which is the state, city, or county, or special district, has to offset that cost. And they haven't been doing it. So there's a $234 billion unfunded pension that's due to our employees. And I just think it's wrong that we, as the employer, the state, or the counties, or the cities, don't put our employees first.
Let's remember that some cities have already filed bankruptcy, in large part because of pension obligations. I'm thinking about San Bernardino. I'm thinking about Stockton. I'm thinking about Vallejo. I'm thinking about cities in the future. I mean, Detroit, not in our state, obviously, but the weight of pension obligations are dramatic. And please.
Yeah, so we were faced with this when I was Alaskan County Board of Supervisors.
Remind us.
I was there 16 years, and we had a pension that wasn't funded. And so we went to our employees and said, hey, it's not funded. When you're 71 like Patsy and you retire, you're pretty much too old to really go find a new job. And you paid in, and your employer is supposed to pay in. So we said to our employees, this is a problem. We want to take care of you. When you're retired, we want your health benefits to be there. So we negotiated with our employees and said, hey, if we all take a small cut, we can take that money, and then we can also run our county more like a business and do more with less. That means we didn't hire more people. When people retired, we shifted people around.
Sure.
And that allowed us to take those savings and put it towards their pensions. Because when they retire, they want to make sure it's there.
But here's the challenge, sir, though. A lot of communities have acted as Lassen has. I would argue wisely, but you know better than I. You can only do that on a go-forward basis. You can't look backward. You can't somehow change what was already promised. There have been attempts to do that. You know, the former mayor of San Jose is continuing to look at that. Chuck Reedus, I think, is his name, or I think that's his name. But the courts have said no. So, boy, I honor Lassen County and so many others that have done that. But, you know, back in 2000, when we were rolling it in the internet bubble, I mean, we gave pension benefits up the yin-yang, and now what?
So listen, every public entity, the state, special districts, counties, cities, you know, what we do is budgets.
Right.
And, you know, it's what priorities are yours in the budget. And just the same thing across the street. It's what is the priority? Our priority is apparently not our employees right now. If it was, we wouldn't be adding new programs. We were talking about their future, which is in jeopardy. And we need to quit burying our head in the sand, and we need to start talking about these issues. Most of the employees don't even understand this. They think it's going to be there. In the case of Loyalton, it is not there. They actually cut their pensions, and they are receiving less funds than what they were promised.
Here's another concern I hear. When one considers what profession to enter, you can look at the private sector, or you can look at the public sector. The public sector, one of its big calling cards was outstanding benefits, healthcare, pensions. But because of the weight of pension obligations, the benefits aren't as great. And so some have argued, well, public sector doesn't pay as well. You're not giving benefits as well as you used to. So how do we attract the best and the brightest if we can't even give outstanding benefit packages anymore?
Well, I would venture to say this, Brad. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the people we promised something to, we need to give that to them. And that means that we need to roll up our sleeves, and we need to think about our employees just as any, you know, I run a private business, and my employees are very important to me. And if I promise them something, I need to come through with it because I need them to help me run my business. No different here in California. We need them to help us run our business, and we need to take care of the obligations that we put out for them.
So a few years ago, I'm not sure if you were here yet, we did see some modicum of pension reform. Governor Brown was able to push, the smallest bit of pension reform. But as I understand it, we need a lot more than what was passed a few years ago. Are your friends, Democrats, Republicans, whomever, understanding the severity of the situation? Is Loyalton going to be a wake-up call?
You know, I really hope so, Brad. I hope that we take a look at Loyalton, and I think the other jurisdictions, the state included, needs to understand that this can happen to them. And until we as legislators and as boards of supervisors and city council members stand up and say, you know what, we're going to take care of our employees, and we need to prioritize them in the budget. It's very simple.
Please.
We need to grow the economy, get more tax revenue. That means help business stay here. So then public employees should be for business because it's really who pays the bill at the end of the day. We need to grow that. We need to also streamline governments, city and government, so that we take those opportunities where we save money and put it towards our pensions. It's that simple. It can be done, but it takes rolling up your sleeves. It says saying no to new programs and taking care of our employees.
So what do you see? What's the mood on the floor of the Assembly, on the floor of the Senate?
So right now, I'm hoping that they watch this program and understand that we have a crisis looming out there.
Or maybe have Patty come and tesy.
And we also have Senator Morlack and Assemblymember Travis Allen are trying to talk about it. Just last week, we gave a raise to some of our employees, and we put some pension funds in there. It's a step in the right direction.
Okay.
But it's not enough to move the funding to where the pensions need to be.
He's Assemblyman Brian Dahle. My name is Brad Pomerance in Sacramento. It's Local Edition.